Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Lauren Neidigh. So, obviously, from the title of this stream, I'm mostly going to talk about this LA Times article that was put out, I think, at the beginning of the day, like early this morning. Um, and I can't show you the whole thing on screen, it is behind a paywall, but I did pick out some snippets that I want to talk to you guys about. And then since I'm in the middle of my workday, I'm just taking a break to do this right now. So I'm going to do a live stream later tonight where I really pick apart that article, kind of piece by piece, and tell you why it's so stupid. But I'm just going to share some of the more ridiculous parts with you today. But before we get into that, really quickly, the hearing tomorrow that's open to the public, the audio only for the public hearing. I have that information, the dial-in number and the code you need to get into that meeting. It's posted in my YouTube channel tab, at the post tab. It's also on my X account. But I will be live streaming that tomorrow. So I'll be dialing in from my stream. So if you want to, you can also join me. And I think what I'll do is I'll have the meeting up on the stream, and I won't comment during the meeting, and then I'll talk about it afterwards. So we'll start a little early and we'll kind of recap a little bit about what the protective order motions were saying, what the judge is ruling on. And then, we'll sit there and I'll keep my bad words to myself during that meeting so you can all listen to it without interruption. And then we'll talk about it afterwards. So, good morning from California. I'm banning the LA Times. Man, yeah. Christine and Tia, I don't know if I said your last name right. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the $2 super sticker. I really appreciate it. Popcorn Planet episode where he invited Paige to play fake Blake. No, I haven't seen that yet. I've been so busy though, man. So I got to catch up on a lot of people's stuff. All right. So like I said, I picked out some pieces of this article that I'm going to talk to you about, and then I'm going to try to see if I can find a way where I can show you some of what they wrote tonight during the stream. Then I will. But for right now, I'm just going to basically have to read you some of it. I have the entire article, Robin. Thank you for the offer. I have the entire article. It's just that I can't show it, I don't think, on stream because of the paywall. And I want to double check that with somebody who knows more about copyright and legal stuff before I do that. So I will kind of tell you the layout of the entire article. They start out talking about that case with Travis Flores. If you don't know what that was, so this guy, Travis Flores, was suing Justin Baldoni for copyright infringement over the movie 5 Feet Apart. And he was saying that Justin, took, some stuff from his screenplay 3 Feet Distance. That lawsuit did not end up going forward. I think they ended up dismissing it. And we went over a little bit of that lawsuit the other night, but tonight when I break down more of this article, we'll go through the entire thing, which it was not very long because like I said, I'm pretty sure he dismissed the lawsuit, but they go through this article making it sound like Justin was like draining the life out of this ill man and like ruining his life basically, and that the guy he had to drop it because he was so stressed out and because Justin was like a high profile opponent. And the way they write this is just like, I don't know, it's just like very obviously biased to me. But let's see if I can find. Yeah, so the next section here. And then if you guys don't know, Brian Friedman actually represented Travis in that lawsuit. And then he recently he was quoted saying like being a part of that lawsuit made him, see how Justin and Wayfarer operated ethically. And so there's no real problem there. But yeah. So I think Travis has also since passed away, unfortunately, from his illness, but they're like exploiting that here to start out this article, painting him as like a terrible person who's like lording his power and influence over a sick person. And he was never found to have actually committed any sort of copyright infringement. So that's just a bunch of bullshit. But the LA Times writer does continue to rub all of the single digit brain cells they have together for like a whole bunch of other shit in this article. So I'm going to keep going through. That case was dropped because there was no way Justin could have known about the original work. Yep. And then somebody else is saying that was a total misunderstanding. And we'll bring that up. We'll bring that up, like I said, tonight on the live stream, and just to show it and get the total facts out there. Okay, let's see. So next they go into his kind of speaking engagements and the podcast and his writing. So they're talking about the Man Enough, the book, which I admittedly have not read. But this is where they start talking about the Baha'i faith a bit. And I do not like the way that they talk about his faith and the way some of the Wayfarer, people's faith in this, because they kind of use it in a way where they're like trying to invoke some outrage from the readers, because they are basically painting it as to like the Baha'i faith was like toxic for some employees and stuff like that. And then they're trying to say that people didn't like XYZ, religious aspects of the workplace, which I will say, like, if I was working somewhere, I expect it to be like pretty neutral. I don't expect religion to play a part in the workplace at all. However, this is all very anonymous. And the way that the LA Times is applying it here is kind of sketchy to me. And then also I want to point this out, which is what really started to piss me off. It was this part that said, despite its emphasis on equality, some Baha'i principles remain culturally conservative in ways that clash with Hollywood's more liberal and permissive norms. Women cannot serve on the religion's highest governing body, the Universal House of Justice, though they can hold leadership roles in all other Baha'i institutions. Same-sex marriage is not recognized, as Baha'i teachings define marriage as a union between a man and a woman. Alcohol and recreational drugs are prohibited, and gossip, a key currency in Hollywood, is considered one of the most harmful and soul-destroying human traits and strictly forbidden. Okay. So, what honestly, what is the relevance of that? What was the point of that? So, I really feel like they're kind of picking at some different kind of social justice issues here. They at some point start picking at like how he, was helping homeless people, but he did it on camera, so it was performative. I don't know. There's just a lot going on here that I don't really like. And I feel like they're trying to grab every single piece of like potential social outrage they can, and they're like tying it to his religion, and it's just gross. Like, people are allowed to have their beliefs. They're allowed to have their opinions, even if it's not like, even if I don't like it, right? So even if I don't agree with it, even if they don't agree with my lifestyle, I don't give a fuck. I'm tired of this like divisive nonsense. I don't care if some dude that I've never met's religion doesn't recognize same-sex marriage. And I'm pretty sure that paragraph right there, including that in there, was really supposed to invoke some sense of like, oh my god, they're homophobic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a fuck. You can say like, I don't believe in gay marriage and still treat gay people like human beings. You can like be around people like at me. I can sit in a room with someone who doesn't believe in gay marriage. I can sit in a room with someone who thinks that's a sin, and we can be just fine. We can have a conversation about something else and be just fine. So like, when people point this stuff out, it's just, I don't know, it makes me really annoyed. I'm just really tired of identity politics. I'm really tired of like everything being made about these like social justice issues and different groups and identities. And, if you don't do it this way, or if you believe in this or that, then you're homophobic, you're transphobic, you're racist. I'm sick of it all. It's very divisive. I'm very, very tired of it. And if I could read you the whole article, this would probably make a lot more sense. So hopefully I'm explaining it all right. But like I said, we are going to do that live stream later. The reason I can't, go through everything piece by piece right now is because I have a 9 to 5 and I'm just taking one of my breaks. Luckily, it's a flexible job. So if I don't have anything in my work queues at the time, then I'm allowed to take my breaks consecutively. I'm allowed to take them whenever I want. So luckily that has allowed me to do this quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. So I just want to thank everyone for being patient with me and understanding why, Zach, some of my live streams feel like they're 37 seconds long. Thank you, Zach, for the $2. I appreciate you. Zach is one of my mods. Thank you to my mods for being here. Tiffany, thank you for being a member for 3 months. Thanks, Lauren. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Melly just says, fuck the LA Times and the New York Times. They're so pressed that content creators are covering news way better than them. Man, I'm just so sick of this bullshit. Like, I feel like everything that's put out by these kinds of news sites is in some way meant to like pit people against each other. And here, when they're going down through this article, there's other reasons why I feel like this was just very like almost like baity in a way, where it's just kind of like, ew, he's like homophobic, ew, he's this or that, you know. So, let's see. Sorry, I got a couple more examples here. While Baldoni's openness about his efforts to be a better man earned praise from many, others questioned his authenticity. Inspired by his faith, Baldoni had long tried to help others, but to some observers, his public gestures felt performative, aimed at self-branding as much as bringing about genuine change. And this is kind of a classic point people like to bring up when they don't like someone and that person does something that's supposed to be like good or nice. And it's like if the same person or if someone else that they liked did the same things as this person, they would be applauded for that. Okay, and then nobody would like it if they said, "Oh, but they were like filming it," or "Oh, it was performative." No, this is just like a buzzword or not like a buzzword or a phrase or a common tactic people use to like try to diminish the good deeds or accomplishments of other people. To be honest, that's how I feel about it. Yeah, okay, there are people out there who will do things just for the, I hate using this word, but clout or whatever. But honestly, this guy does not strike me as one of those people. So I don't know. I did not like the way that they were kind of making it sound like that. And then here they're quoting some staffers from Wayfair, former Wayfair staffers, and they're quoting some people anonymously. It says, it was constant positivity all the time. I would say toxic positivity, said one former Wayfair staffer. I'm always a little dubious of people who advertise themselves as disruptors of the status quo or quote unquote good people. It felt phony. Multiple employees also expressed discomfort with the increasing prominence of the Baha'i faith and Wayfair's office culture. There was an evangelizing aspect to the way Justin spoke about the faith that, in my opinion, felt professionally inappropriate, said one former employee. Others described a workplace where Baha'i principles were frequently evoked in discussions about the company's mission and projects, particularly after Sarowitz became more involved. Baha'i values were a driving force behind everything they did, said another former employee, who wasn't as bothered by the focus on the faith. It came up routinely. As a newer Baha'i member, Steve wanted to talk about it all the time. A spokesperson for Baldoni and Wayfair noted that while the founders of Wayfair Studios are Baha'i, the majority of its senior leadership and staff are not, and no Baha'i-related activities are ever mandated by the company. As all of Wayfair's projects are rooted in a belief system that stems from various faiths and backgrounds, speaking from a place of spirituality is commonplace, the spokesperson told the Times. Employees are encouraged to celebrate and practice their individual beliefs however they see fit, a message which is proudly supported by leadership. So, like I said earlier, guys, I'm a big fan of neutrality as far as all that goes in the workplace. If it were me and I was in that situation and that's actually what was happening, then yeah, I might feel a little uncomfortable and I might say something about it, be like, hey, I don't really like this, or this bothered me in some way. But I also probably just like wouldn't work somewhere where like that religion played such a huge role in things, if that's true. But because this is all anonymous, because and I understand why people have like anonymous sources and stuff like that, and I know it's meant to protect people who are legitimate like victims or who could genuinely get put in a bad position for speaking up. However, we never have any way of really analyzing the credibility of these anonymous sources, and unfortunately there are people who will exploit that. So not every anonymous source is going to be 100% honest. Just saying. One sec. And guys, this is a really long article, so tonight's stream is going to be much more fleshed out, but let's see. Rooted in his spiritual beliefs, Baldoni saw Wayfair as a vehicle for inspirational storytelling, but some employees felt its relentless emphasis on uplift sometimes veered into discomforting territory. Two former staffers, in particular, spoke of their unease with Baldoni's repeated focus on stories of terminal illness, which included a 2015 documentary he directed about The Simpsons writer Sam Simon that aired on Fusion just a week after Simon's death from cancer. The message was always, these people are dying and they still have a positive outlook, so everyone has a reason to be positive, one former Wayfair staffer said. But you know, you're also making money off these people, so it feels at least slightly exploitative. Good Lord. I mean, like I said, there's no way to verify like the anything about the anonymous sources, right? So you don't know if this is somebody who was who left the job on good standing. You don't know if this is somebody who had a lot of problems in the workplace, who might have a reason for being critical. I when I think of toxic positivity, none of this stuff is what comes to mind. But I will, again, that's something we'll get into about more on tonight's stream when I have more time. So yeah. Melissa Nathan should run stories about how Ryan and Blake got married at a plantation and start exploiting that. That's funny, but I would actually hate that. I think that when people behave badly, the emphasis should be on their bad behavior that we're trying to target right now. So, like in the court case, their bad behavior in the events relevant to the court case is what I would really like to hear about. If there was any misbehavior, if there was any misconduct, but this like weird smearing of the religion or like the kind of like bringing it up in a way where there's negative connotations and kind of relating it indirectly to homophobia. Like, I can't stand that. I think that's bullshit. Like, please do not use issues that people actually struggle with, like, to make some sort of weird and like thinly veiled salacious point about someone you don't like. Like, it's just annoying. If you want to talk about performative, that's performative. As a gay person, I feel like I have been violated in absolutely no way by the Baha'i faith not agreeing with gay marriage. I do not give a fuck. It means nothing to me. First of all, I'm not even married. Second, if I get married, what does it matter if some other people's religion, aren't agreeing with that? I'm not inviting them to the wedding. I'm not marrying them. We're not dating. I think I'm good, right? All I want to do is like get up and go do my job and see my family and my friends and travel and have fun and do normal things like normal people. I don't need everybody in the world to approve of that. I'm not like going around with a checklist. This isn't a fucking feedback survey. All right. So I don't know. I just really hate the way some of this is being exploited here, in my opinion. So, and you guys can disagree with me. That's fine. But remember, don't be a cunt. All right. Reviewers have raised, and we're talking about that documentary about the writer that died, or the director that died from cancer. Reviewers have raised similar concerns. While it is a spectacle for a good cause, it's still a spectacle, Variety wrote, and one that sometimes is guilty of reveling in its own self-satisfaction. Jesus Christ. A spokesperson for Baldoni and Wayfair said that Justin... Okay, so this is going back to... some of the workplace accusations. A spokesperson for Baldoni and Wayfair said that Baldoni was not deeply involved in daily management, adding Justin Baldoni does not oversee and hasn't ever overseen the day-to-day operations of Wayfair Studios, and emphasizing the company's robust leadership team. And here they're talking about his faith and how it discourages premarital sex, and they're talking about his relationship history. Okay, and then they're talking about some stuff he wrote in Man Enough about his relationships then and like some abuse he went through, and I'm just kind of like, what? This article is so like all over the place to me. I'm just gonna skim through and make sure I'm not missing anything huge here, guys. Bear with me for a sec. Okay. While building Wayfair, Baldoni was also shaping his public image as a feminist ally. Okay, and this was also annoying to me. This Baldoni had already demonstrated his love of grand gestures, particularly when it came to romance. So they're bringing up his proposal video to his current wife. I actually haven't seen it. I've heard about it, but they call it an over-the-top spectacle. So they're basically bringing up these things from his past or his work and stuff like that, and saying like he's over the top and performative and all this bullshit. And here we get into more of the it was constant positivity all the time. To some observers, his public gestures, such as filming himself giving clothing to a homeless man, like I was saying before, or asking employees to sign their emails with the phrase "so much love," felt performative, aimed at self-branding as much as bringing about genuine change. I don't know if that's actually what happened with the whole email thing with signing the phrase "so much love." I don't know, man. I don't know. But if that's like how the company feels they need to conduct themselves, if that's like their little slogan or whatever, fine. I don't care if it's performative. If I'm being paid to do a job and that's how I need to sign my emails, fine. Okay. It was constant positivity all the time. I would say toxic positivity, said one former Wayfair staffer. I'm always a little dubious of people who advertise themselves as disruptors of the status quo or quote unquote good people. It felt phony. And then I'm not going to read this all word for word. Like I said, this is behind a paywall, so I don't think I can do that. So they're saying he was professionally inappropriate because of the way the Baha'i faith was so prominent in Wayfair's office culture. And they go on about that for a while. Rooted in his spiritual beliefs, Baldoni saw Wayfair as a vehicle for inspirational storytelling, but sometimes, or some employees felt its relentless emphasis on uplift sometimes veered into discomforting territory. Apparently, some former staffers had problems with his focus on stories about people with terminal illness, which we mentioned one of those. At this point, I'm wondering, are they really going to keep this up for an entire year? People not too invested are already fed up and moved on to other scandals/dramas. Oh, look, obviously there's plenty of stories to follow and shit like that, but I'm gonna continue to follow this one as long as it's going. You know, and I'm assuming they're going to go to trial. But you know, if other stuff comes up, I'm sure some attention will turn towards those things, and that's just how things work with news cycles. They're saying the internal culture of Wayfair was dysfunctional and riven and riven by internal politics, according to one former executive. Just skimming through some of this. Like I said, guys, this is a really long article. Now they're going back to talking about Travis Flores. I guess they didn't harp on that enough in the beginning. And they're talking about the actual complaint. Like I said, we'll read the whole complaint tonight. It's not a very long complaint, so it won't take too long. Okay. According to multiple sources, Flores ultimately dropped the case after being advised by his legal team that Baldoni had the financial resources to sustain a prolonged legal fight, and that continuing the lawsuit could take a toll on his health. Uh-huh. Okay. So like I said, unfortunately, Travis passed away. He was in his 30s. And so he's obviously not able to speak for himself on this matter. So I find this a little sketchy. Some former employees maintain that Baldoni's intentions were sincere. Okay, now they get into talking about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. And then they're talking about the nice pool stuff. Which, if you guys haven't seen the nice pool stuff, which I'm sure everybody has at this point, but if you haven't yet, I have a video on my YouTube channel somewhere. And if you can't find it on YouTube, it's also on Twitter and it's on my TikTok and I think on Instagram. And it's under 1 minute, all the scenes from from the Deadpool movie that's Nice Pool related and Justin Baldoni related. Okay. So everything down here is like they're talking about what we've already seen as far as the evidence that's come out and all that. But so the end of this article, when they're talking about the actual case, it's not that bad. I mean, they're mostly just talking about what happened, so that's good. But I don't like the way that they kind of talked about the faith in a negative context through a lot of this article. I thought that was really strange. I don't know. I'm just really not a fan of this piece. I don't think it's as bad as what the New York Times wrote. I'm just not a fan of this piece at all. Dude is creepy looking. Sorry, I'm reading the comments, guys. All right. So I guess at the end of the day, the writer was not totally critical. They're not totally saying he's guilty or anything like that. But still, the way that they were bringing this stuff up and saying like, oh, people found him performative and he was just about self-branding instead of like genuine change. And I don't know. I just don't like it. I'm not a fan. All right. So that's about all of that I'm going to go through for this afternoon because I have to get back to work. But what the fuck is toxic positivity? We'll get into more of that, like I said, on tonight's stream when we go into some of these things in more detail. We're going to go over the Travis Flores stuff and kind of put that to bed because the way they represented that was, in my opinion, kind of gross. That's not at all what seems to have actually happened based on the legal documents and based on the characterization of that case as we know it before all this happened. So we'll have to, like I said, dig into that a little bit more this afternoon. Sorry, I missed one of these. Lisa Marie, thank you for the $2. My first stickler every day. Love listening to you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Dejected Smiles, thank you for the $10 super sticker. I appreciate that. All right, guys. Like I said, if you need the information for public access to that court hearing tomorrow, you can watch it on my live stream, which is scheduled for 9:40. We'll start that a little bit before the court hearing. But I also have the phone number for dial in if you rather just watch that or listen to that on your phone or whatever you dial in with. You can do that. So just go ahead and head on over to my posts tab on my YouTube channel or on my Twitter page, and you can find that information there. I'll see you guys later today, all right? Please don't forget to hit the like on this video. I appreciate it. Bye.